Hello, everyone. This is StrawberryShorty back with Theresia. And we're going to start off by looking at the diary, Lost Time, which seems to be a sort of recap, but worth checking out, I think. Stop crying, child. Child, you are now, child, my daughter. I remember the moment when someone grabbed my leg and yanked me out of the rubble. Suddenly, there was light. It was so bright. As my eyes adjusted to the light, I saw a woman with pale skin drenched in blood. I still remember it clearly, the smell of blood and my mother's face. That was when I was born. Theresia, dear Emile, Lost Time. I was born into a country at war. The war took my real parents when I was only a year old. A tiny creature that could barely speak. A helpless child who couldn't do anything without her parents. I was left behind, buried under rubble in the ruins of a small town, waiting to die. That was when the slight woman with pale skin dragged me out of the rubble. And as a side note, apparently the blonde hair turning almost white thing is a translation error. That's what someone who played the Japanese version said. Oh, it's that cute image again. She was my mother, the head of the torture division for a mercenary unit from the enemy nation, Emile Theresia. There's also different theories as to why Emile really set the trap. Some people think she actually did it with the intention of helping her daughter grow stronger in case she died. But we may never know the truth. The village I lived in was under the control of the enemy nation, and my mother belonged to the mercenary unit that had jurisdiction over my village. The mercenaries had taught my mother the ways of torture her whole life. She had no siblings, no friends. All she did, every day, was hurt people physically and emotionally. That was the only life my mother, Emile, was given. With none of the love or care a normal child might receive, my mother never learned to feel pain when she tortured others. Instead, she found that her work gave her a certain kind of joy, despite her young age. Contrary to her young, frail appearance, she was so cold-blooded that people began to call her the devil. When the rumor began to circulate that the devil had brought home a child, people were shocked. That brute adopted a child. Has she lost her mind for real now? Well, they do say every woman has maternal instincts. My mother took me to a church on the outskirts of the village and officially made me her daughter. I remember the church. It was in the middle of a field, watched over by a quiet priest with long hair. My mother visited the church with me in her arms. The priest said nothing, just looked at us sadly. Please, give that child a name. And please, say a prayer. Pray for the child's divine protection. I remember that Mother's arms were very warm. The church had a basement. It was built long ago, before the priest was even born, as a prison for sinners. It was more than a place to pay for your crimes. It was a place to pray. Some sinners felt uncomfortable under the sun and went there of their own free will. They would come to the church every day and pray for forgiveness. Even though the subterranean prison was rank with the smell of blood, to the sinners it was a sanctuary. But time passed. Eventually war came to our country and the church fell under enemy control. The basement prison had become a military base, and its purpose had changed. It was a pretty expansive prison. Pretty expansive church for a village. Mother gave me the name Leanne. Mother worked and lived as a torturer in the underground base. Whenever she had time off work, Mother would come to the church to visit me. She would stand in front of the altar with me in her arms and stroke my head while she sang me to sleep with a strange lullaby. A field with sparse red flowers. The smell of dirt and flowers. The soft wind. The warm sunlight. Bright lights. A strange singing voice. Seeing her in white is so strange. And the constant smell of blood that always followed my mother. These were the things that made me feel safe when I was a child. Whenever Mother visited me at the church, she never let me out of her sight. To other people, it looked more like some kind of obsession than motherly love. And in fact, as I matured, Mother became more and more insistent that I never leave her side during her visits. As I grew older and learned to walk, Mother forbid me to come in contact with other people. I wasn't allowed to go outside. I could only speak to Mother. You are my daughter. Forever. This bond is only for you and me. Whenever Mother held me, I could smell the stench of blood all over her. She spoke to me in a stern tone. It is beautiful artwork. You must not speak with anyone other than me. You must not leave your room when you are alone. Because you are my daughter. Once she had made me promise, she gave me a key. It was a strange key with the tip broken off. An oddly shaped, blood-stained key that probably didn't work. Well, if the bottom is snapped off, yeah, probably not. As she handed me the key, she looked me in the eye and said, "Keep this key with you. This is your key. From now on, you will have no relationships with anyone except me." Never did learn the story of that key, and we probably never will because I don't think the other story mentions it. It was a symbol of my confinement. I was very young and only barely understood what Mother was saying. But making the promise was easy. Mother was everything to me. As long as Mother was with me, that was all I needed. We are already 8 minutes in. This might be the whole part. When I turned 7, I began working for the priest. It became my job to take care of the church's animals, and it was a job that kept me away from other people. Perhaps Mother had told the priest to make it that way. Without any human contact, I came to love my job because I was able to find companionship with the animals. When I started my job, a baby horse was born, and it was so cute that I took special care of it. Emmy! She was a mare with red hair, and I named her Emmy. I became very fond of her. Her hair does not look red to me. I used to sneak out of my room and visit Emmy, even when it wasn't time to work. Emmy was a very smart horse, and I felt like she understood what I was saying to her. The red-haired mare that grew up with me lived a long and happy life. We're totally sure of it. I wonder what she's doing now. She's happy. She's happy and she's healthy. As I grew up, Mother continued to visit me regularly. She would check on any little thing I'd done, and I started to feel like she was keeping watch over me. And always, the smell of blood followed her. I began to feel like the smell that followed her was seeping into my skin. I used to be really scared of that smell. So we get the hand washing? Yep. it wouldn't go away. I used to wash my hands over and over, trying to get rid of it. No matter how hard I washed, the smell of blood was always there. But I couldn't stop. I went to the river every day to wash my hands. Need to get some soap, some scented soap. Perhaps because I was there every day. A boy came up to me. I also think this is like our first time seeing some of these images like proper and in color. Isn't this river pretty? It's cold, but it feels nice. You should show fruits and drinks here. The boy's name was Sasha. He looked so small. He was a war orphan around my age who also lived in the church. I think Sasha took interest in me because of our shared past. After that day at the river, he would talk to me every time he saw me. However, I did my best to comply with Mother's wishes. I did my best to avoid Sasha. That didn't go well. Around that time, a whole bunch of red flowers suddenly bloomed in the fields surrounding the church. The flowers were beautiful, but something about their color made me think of poison. No, poison is purple. They reminded me of Mother. I was desperate for a different color of flower. So much so that I began digging holes and attempting to plant other types of flowers. I think that I was trying to put another color in that red field. If the red flowers were my mother, I wanted my own presence there as well. And still, Mother regularly visited the church to spend time with me. I began to notice that every time Mother would visit me, the priest seemed to be afraid of her. Although, I suppose it would be only natural to be scared of a woman like my mother. But I also began to notice that Mother was scared of the priest too, but in a very different way. Maybe Mother saw something divine in him that frightened her. Whatever it was, I couldn't see it. Mother, surrounded by the red flowers, was nothing but beautiful. I always felt that there was something about her that just sucked me in. Mother took me to the field a lot. We never did much, just sat and looked at the red flowers. She didn't smile much, and when she talked to me, her voice was always a little cold. To me, the smell of blood that her job left lingering on her skin, the lullaby she'd sung to me as a child, the expansive fields of red flowers surrounding the church. All of these things were aspects of my mother. I turned 10, so we met Sasha before we turned 10. I was living a pious life. The church was poor, so we didn't have much food. In the middle of the night, when there was no one around, I would sit in front of the altar and pray for other people's happiness. Sasha began talking to me even more frequently. I did my best to obey Mother and stay away from him, but Sasha continued to try to talk to me. I knew it, the hayseed. Even when I was taking care of the animals, Sasha would often show up. I couldn't understand. Why did he take such an interest in me? But it felt kind of nice. I started to think that maybe, deep down, I did want to get to know other people. Sasha knew that I wasn't allowed to come in contact with people besides Mother. We knew nothing good would happen if people saw us talking. Sasha had told me so. Because we couldn't talk much, Sasha started to write letters and bring them to me. He would hide his letters in the mountain of hay near the animals, and I would hide my reply in the same place. We had many long conversations this way. Since I was forbidden to go outside, Sasha would tell me about the world beyond the church. Tried to imagine a world beyond the church in this universe. I started to feel like I was slowly falling for him. We were only 10. He was the one person besides my mother who would talk to me about the priest. I'll put the letter in our usual place. I'll put my letter here tomorrow, and the day after that, and the day after that. Since you can't see the world, I'll tell you what happens. Sasha. The day I turned 12, the war finally came to an end. My country had lost the war. Our enemy had developed a new kind of weapon to end the war. The weapon they had created to end the war was called epicari. It was a powerful biological weapon that infected its victims with a disease created in a lab. After the war, many people in my village began to behave oddly, their behavior getting worse and worse until they finally committed suicide. Behind the strange behavior and suicides was the bioweapon epicari. Those infected would first begin to behave strangely, and then eventually lose their memory. Different people would be affected differently by the virus. Some would fear a certain color. Some would roll up in a corner and groan. Whatever they did, it got worse over time, with some villagers killing animals or even other people, but infection always ended with suicide. You couldn't see anything physically wrong, but after death, the skin of the corpses would turn a bright, beautiful purple. The purple skin told us that corpses were spreading the virus. So thus we burned them. The purple corpses had to be burnt as soon as possible to keep the virus from spreading. The villagers began to gather the corpses and the infected together into one area. The church on the outskirts of the village. The church where I lived. As the corpses began to turn purple, they were burned quickly, without any prayers. The people burning the bodies wore thick protective suits to keep from getting infected, and everyone else was told to stay away from the corpses. But I couldn't stand it. I ignored the warnings and offered up my prayers for the dead. That was a real slow pause. All I can do is pray. Got our little headband. Pray. Epicari spread like wildfire, and the death toll continued to rise. Pretty soon, strange people in lab coats were visiting the church more and more often. Where's Emile? A lady with black hair named Emile was the head doctor. Her hair is clearly brown! She was always in control, ordering the other doctors around and treating the infected patients. But I also saw her burn the bodies of the dead without hesitation. After Emile's arrival, the spread of the virus finally slowed down. You're a village, how far could it spread? I heard people saying that a treatment had been developed for epicari. Eventually, the church became the base for Emile's research, and I often saw her stay there overnight. I noticed Emile watching me as I prayed for the corpses that were waiting to be burned. She looks so tall in this image. It's okay now. There is a medicine that can defeat the purple virus. I'm Emile. I'm a doctor. Emile appeared to have taken an interest in me. It wasn't like she took time to talk to me or anything, but every time we saw each other, I could feel her watching me. After several days of this, it was like any other visit Mother had made. That day, the plan was for Mother to spend the night at the church and head for work the next day. Whenever Mother was at the church, she would never leave my side. But that night, I woke up and Mother wasn't there. I was really worried. and I got up to wander the halls of the church looking for Mother. Mother, Mother, where are you? Just then I heard something moving nearby. I don't know why, but the sound caught my attention, and I walked slowly toward the noise. It was coming from the storage room. When I opened the door, I couldn't help but give a small scream. This is where we see the Theresia. Take better care of your vaccines. Hundreds of small red beads covered the walls of the room, crawling about like bugs. I was terrified, but something about them attracted me, and I froze. What is this room? Red beads are moving. I wanted to run, but I couldn't move. My body refused to respond. I felt like I was paralyzed. What are you doing out at this hour? That voice tore me out of my paralysis. I turned around. Emile, is now really the time to be posing like that? Emile was staring at me. They seem to have crawled out of the bottle again. Did they startle you? They get out a lot. Oh, I'm talking about these red creatures. They are called Theresia. Or Theresia, depending who you ask. But never mind that. What are you doing out so late? Having trouble sleeping? You've seen my mother, and don't tell me she's red beads. Before I knew it, I was running away as fast as I could. I don't know why. I felt like I'd seen something I really wasn't supposed to see. Anywhere was better than that room. I never saw Theresia again. And the spread of Epicari virus was brought under control, although it hasn't stopped. Did she not know her last name was Theresia? Time passed. I turned 16. My mother's attitude never changed. When she came to visit me, she wouldn't let me leave her side. She was aloof and didn't talk much, and she always smelled of blood. I was still forbidden to meet other people. Finally, one day, Sasha nervously confessed his feelings for me. His tiny little hands. I'm in love with you. I always have been. I've always loved you. He confessed his love towards me. Sasha bit his lip as he told me how he felt, but I didn't know what to say to him. I liked Sasha too. I wanted to be with him forever. That was how I felt. Is that love? Does Mother, who never smiles at me, love me? I was confused. Mother's words rang through my head. I forbid you to talk to strangers. Sasha's not a stranger. It's fine. Sasha's hair has just changed color in this image. How do you feel about me? What am I to you? Oh, Sasha, you deserved so much better. Sasha kept talking. I still hadn't replied. He asked me to come see the world, but Mother had forbidden me to ever go outside, and the world is also kind of a mess right now, and the world outside scared me. Still, a part of me wanted to know what was out there, and that part was getting harder to ignore. Finally, one sunny day, as usual, Sasha was trying to get me outside. For whatever reason, my resolve wavered, and I took a step toward him and the outside world. At that moment, out of the corner of my eye, I saw Mother. Uh-oh. Sasha, run! She's got heels on. And she saw us. I broke into a cold sweat as I tried to hold back the fear and guilt I suddenly felt. Mother had a knife in her hand, and she was walking calmly towards Sasha. This is not walking calmly. This is running. A friar noticed Mother with a knife and moved to stop her. That's a brave friar right there. Because I think that he had to have known who she was. But without hesitation and almost without looking, her hand moved like lightning. Poor friar doesn't even get a full pick, and her blade dug itself deep into the chest of the friar. Some soldiers heard the commotion and ran over to seize Mother. They picked up the friar and rushed him to the hospital. But the knife had gone too deep. He had died before he hit the floor. I was in a daze. I barely remember going back to my room. I sat in my room, frozen, my mind struggling to make sense of what I'd seen, of my emotions. I tried to move my body, but it wouldn't respond. Was Mother a murderer? I didn't want to see anyone. Mother's face covered in blood. The image won't go away. Blood. There was so much blood. Blood all over Mother's face, arms, hair. I was used to the smell of blood, and I knew that Mother was a torturer, but I'd never actually seen her kill someone before. I felt like I was about to go crazy. She killed someone. Just like that. Mother is a murderer. The moment Mother killed that man, I couldn't get that image out of my head. After that incident, Mother was forbidden to leave her base. She stopped visiting the church. I was scared to see Mother, so when I heard she wouldn't be coming to the church anymore, I was relieved. Why did they care? I feel like these mercenaries were killing a lot of innocent people. But that day, the stench of blood and the scream of a dying man, the dark, red blood covering Mother's face, that moment in time was ingrained in my memory. I couldn't do my job and locked myself in my room for a while. A couple days later, Emile came to visit me. She took me out to the fields surrounding the church. The red flowers were in full bloom. I was in the same place Mother and I had visited so many times when I was young. We also looked quite tall. I smelled the smell of the flowers, the smell of blood that followed my mother. Memories of my childhood rushed back. And along with them, the memory of my mother murdering someone. Emile spoke. Well, I think everyone only cares about their own lives. Your mother, she's not the murderer you think she is. I wasn't sure if Emile said that to make me feel better, or if she really meant it. Whatever the case, every time I saw the red fields, I thought of Mother. She never let me out of her sight when she came to the church. She always held my hand and kept me next to her. This is a new one. I don't think we saw this one. And I desperately tried to live up to her expectations. The smell of blood in her cold hands. She never smiled, and she had such long, silver hair. Those memories were engraved in my heart. Emile saw me, engrossed in my thoughts, and muttered, Martel Theresia. You remind me of her. About a year had gone by, so we're about 17, when suddenly the Epicari virus began to spread again. Stockpiles of the treatment were nearly depleted when the outbreak occurred. The results were devastating. It's a vaccine. Shouldn't we all be fine now? The infected turned hostile, some turning on the healthy, some just killing each other. They were put in chains and kept under tight surveillance. Even with such extreme measures, the spread of the virus could not be contained, and it was decided that the village and church would have to be evacuated. The survivors would be relocated to an underground facility the troops had used as a base. The villagers said it had been used for torturing. It was a cold, dark place that reeked of blood. Mother was there. When they told me where we'd be going, I heard Mother singing her lullaby in the back of my mind. I was going to see Mother for the first time since she had murdered the friar. I was scared to see her. I knew she would lock me up again. I would smell like blood again. And Mother is a murderer. I wanted to be free from the smell of blood. Mother probably doesn't love me. I don't remember ever seeing Mother smile. I'd spent a year thinking about all of this after Mother left. But if I relocate with everyone else, I'll see Mother again. Should I leave the surviving, infected people in the village and go see Mother? If you stay here, you will be killed. You must come with us. Let's go. to where your mother is. The day I was moved to move underground, Sasha took my hand and asked me if I wanted to run away with him. My gosh, these hands are so small! Run away from the mercenaries. Emile is underground. She's a murderer, and I know she will just lock me up again. Sasha looked very serious. But there was something about his eyes. They had the color of hope. I wanted to free myself from Mother. I wanted to be with Sasha forever. But I should have gone with Sasha. I wanted to see Mother. Without hesitation, I took my hand away from Sasha. Since the day I saw Mother murder the friar, I wanted to be free from the smell of blood. But the smell of blood had seeped into my heart. The smell of blood that followed Mother had become even stronger. Ah, Mother. There's that weird Iron Maiden hand again. I want to see you. I want to see Mother again. I'm going to see her. I'm going to go and see her again. We are over 30 minutes in, and we have not finished this recap. But I do love seeing all the art. There should be an art section. Mother was torturing prisoners in the dim prison underground. On the day I went underground, I frantically asked Emile to take me to Mother. Without hesitation, Emile agreed and took me to see my mother. The minute Mother saw me, she took my arm firmly and led me off down a hall. She took me to the depths of the prison where it reeked of blood. She took me to the cells where the prisoners were kept. Mother threw me into one of the cells and chained me to the wall just like the other prisoners. You seem pretty happy about it, though. Now our hands are big. I didn't have the urge to resist. Instead, I found myself filled with happiness. Mother's chains. We're not chained to the wall, we're more handcuffed. Mother's smell. Don't ever let me out of these chains. I want to be in this cell forever. I want to be with Mother forever. That was how my life in prison began. I didn't do anything. I was just chained to the wall. I could hear people groaning. I could hear Mother torturing people. It is comforting. The sound of blood dripping, the sound of flesh being cut, the sound of gouging, cutting, tearing. The pain, the madness. It was so comforting. In my memory, Mother is creating all the sounds and is turning them into something beautiful. You gonna see the tortured man? I stay in the cell for a very long time. The smell of the stones and the raw smell of blood and skin, the sound of water and the groaning. Everything reminded me of Mother. It was very comforting. To me, the cell felt like my mother's womb. Maylie continued her research on the treatment even after she was relocated underground. I overheard her say that something was needed to replicate it. A specific strand of DNA was needed to create the cure. In between periods of intense research, Maylie visited the prison. She would come and look at me, chained like the other prisoners. She stared at me as if I reminded her of the woman whose DNA was in the cure. There was always something melancholy about Maylie's expression. I remember her face clearly. I don't, apparently. Half of it is missing. I lived in the prison for almost a year, so 18? One morning, I learned that the priest had been infected with epicari and passed away. He had refused to take one of the few remaining doses of medicine. The priest had apparently been afraid of the medicine. Or so I heard. The medicine's name was Theresia. It was made by combining a specific microscopic organism with a unique DNA strand. The red beads I'd seen in the storage room at the church, that was vaccine Theresia. Many people had hesitated after seeing the cure for the first time, but they eventually took it. The priest had adamantly refused. I heard he acted out of fear of God. Even as his condition deteriorated, the priest refused treatment. Eventually, he succumbed to the virus and took his own life. Why wasn't his body burned? Why did we find him in the cellar area, still in one piece? Or did they burn him and then put the skeleton there? Research into new ways to fight the virus could not keep up with the speed at which it spread. Eventually, the Epicari virus spread to the underground facility. Once again, the death toll began to rise. The mercenaries in charge of our village decided to abandon the underground facility and go back to their homeland. As citizens of the country that had lost the war, my people were to be abandoned and murdered. It started in the early morning. People ran for their lives, but the soldiers caught and killed them. The underground facility was in chaos. Bloody corpses began to pile up in the gray hallways. I feel so bad for these civilians. They didn't do nothing wrong. They just tried to survive. I knew it was only a matter of time before I was killed as well. But it didn't matter. If I could die in Mother's womb. I sat chained to the wall, waiting for my turn to die. At that moment, my cell door opened and someone ran in. I opened my eyes and saw Sasha. So brave. And one of the chains is much bigger than the other now, one of our shackles. He had a key and he was trying to take the chain off my arms. You have to run away. Run, you have to make it. I'll get this chain off and we'll go. Sasha had snuck into the prison to rescue me. No, don't take off my chains. I've decided to die in Mother's womb. I told Sasha I wouldn't leave. I knew that soon we would both be killed, rather than leave Mother. I chose to face my death then and there. Sasha ignored me and kept working on my chains. A shrill sound pierced the air. Mother. I remembered her name and Sasha spun around. Somehow he'd found a gun which he was pointing at Mother. Why is there a mummy back there? She just stared at him. Her eyes were the same as the day she had killed the friar, the eyes of a murderer. Sasha was shaking like a leaf, but he kept his gun pointed at Mother. He's a little short. I won't let you kill her. I won't let you kill her. She's coming with me. I could see tears on Sasha's face, but he didn't back down. Poor Sasha. Such a good person. Mother walked slowly towards Sasha, stood frozen. Finally, she reached Sasha and warmly embraced him. Mother took the gun from Sasha's hands and pressed it to his head. She started to sing her lullaby, the lullaby she used to sing to me when I was a child. I couldn't look away. Sasha was captivated by Mother. He had stopped shaking in her arms. Mother smiled and pulled the trigger. Yes, Mother smiled. A smile I thought I'd never seen. But Mother had always smiled when she sang this lullaby to me, and when she killed my boyfriend. Mother held Sasha's limp, lifeless body and continued singing her lullaby. Blood, brains, and skull fragments dripped down the cell wall. Mother kept humming her lullaby. How comforting. As I watched her sing, I felt warm and at peace. Sasha deserves so much better. Emile Theresia. I didn't need anyone else. She was everything to me. But again, we did not make the connection between her last name and the name of the vaccine. I was waiting for my time to come, but Mother did not allow me to die. She is so badass. Emile Theresia betrayed us. She murdered one of us. She's protecting an enemy child. That devil. At last we see her true colors. Mother stood in front of me and began to kill her comrades one after another. If I went too far away from her, she would grab my hand and pull me back behind her and tell me not to leave. She walked across the corpses of her former comrades, always in front of me. Mother's back. Kill the devil! Kill her! Attack her daughter! Mother couldn't be stopped. Anyone who got in her way was struck down. Bodies fell around her like rain. Oh, Mother, she was protecting me. She was telling me to live. I think that's another reason why some people think she set the traps, not to keep us stuck, but to protect us and help us grow. Because also, who left all the instructions and the elixirs? And our diary pages. As long as I'm alive, I won't let you die. We will live together. As long as I'm alive. They made Leanne's red text hers all of a sudden. Mother had become a traitor. We went deep into the underground facility and hid. However, if the mercenaries decided to mount a search for us, Mother knew it would be difficult to hide. It was Mei Li who gave us a chance to get away. This is like a proper, non-cut-up version of the image from before. Mei Li had somehow become rather attached to us. I could see it in her eyes. That will never be shown on the screen. I'll hide you in my lab until they leave. With the disease spreading, I don't think they'll stay around here for very long. This is my way of saying thanks. Mei Li had told me that she'd been able to develop a new batch of vaccine Theresia, and that she was helping us out because we'd helped her. But at the time, I didn't understand what she was thanking us for. Still hasn't made the name connection, I guess. Just as Mei Li had predicted, the mercenaries soon left my country and went back to their homeland. Before long, the doctors started to leave as well. It was decided that Mother and I would be left in the underground facility. As Mei Li was leaving, I asked her, "Did Mother love me this whole time?" She gave me an odd look and said, "Love? Why would you say that? That's a vulgar word." That was what Mei Li told me. But she let me stay in the blood-drenched underground prison with my mother. Before she left, Mei Li showed me something. It was the red creature's vaccine Theresia. I wanted to give this to you. This was created from the DNA of a special girl. It was named after that girl. I think it's a coincidence, but she has the same last name as your mother. And the medicine I have here, the new vaccine Theresia. Do you understand? Apparently not. The girl's a bit clueless. This is your mother. The new vaccine Theresia. It was generated from Mother's DNA, Emile Theresia. That was when I understood. The squirming red beads. When I first saw them, they reminded me of Mother. After everyone left, Mother and I were alone in the underground facility. In the silence of the abandoned prison, Mother began to lay her traps. Mother, she only knew how to show her love through violence. Her only desire was to keep me by her side forever. She worries that I might try and leave her someday, and she would rather I die than leave her. She gives me scars and pain to make sure I won't forget. That is the only way she can show her love to me. That is what I want to think. I like the idea that she set the traps to help Leanne go stronger and to protect her. Because again, like, the diary pages being scattered all around for Leanne to find does not make sense if she wasn't counting on her daughter making her way through the facility. I don't know how long we've been here together in the comforting silence. I just sit here holding the pendant with a broken key. A long time ago, one of the mercenaries in Mother's unit told me about the key. This was the key to the cell of a prisoner your mother was torturing before she came here. The key started to turn red from the blood of the prisoner. The key broke at the same time the prisoner died. That was the first time she had seen someone die. Even since then, Mother kept the broken key, so we did learn the backstory of the key. Is that dead prisoner still tied to the chains in the cell that will never again open? That bloody key is now in my hands. Did we see that prisoner? But Mother has been gone for a long time. Mother, where did you go? You promised me that you'd be with me forever. Mother, I'm beginning to lose my memories. I don't want to forget. From the day she found me, Mother always loved me. I don't want to forget that. I see my mother everywhere here. This red, wriggling creature, there's no trace of my mother in it. However, this red bead is definitely mother. I took the red beads Meili had given me. The vaccine Theresia, and I injected them into my body. This is all I have left of my beloved mother, Emile Theresia. This is mother. Even if I lose all my memory, I will never forget her. And then we did. Had to spend a whole game remembering her. Now it's time to sleep. In this place that smells of blood. In this place that is as comforting as my mother's arms. In this place. That was really long. That was 46 minutes. So, yeah, we'll start the new scenario, which is Dare Martell. For the record, in the previous part, the last part that I recorded, the last part of Dare Emile, I did read the text from Meili's photo album that I found online, but I decided to cut that part out of the video and save it for after beating Dare Martell, because I realized it basically spoils every plot point of Dare Martell. So, yeah, I didn't want to do that to you guys. And I do think it works better as an epilogue anyway. So let's start Dare Martell. Martell is the girl Meili kept mentioning, the girl behind the original vaccine, who shares the same last name as Emile. Do you remember this music box? I got it for my birthday when I was little. I was so happy, I listened to it every day. I still keep it. Your staticky friend. A dream. I open my eyes. It's very dark. The floor is rough and hard. My head hurts. How long was I asleep? How odd. I can't remember anything. Where am I? We're already missing some life. Trapped in the blue void. Oh, can interact with stuff. Look at the darkness. I close my eyes and reflect on my current situation. Why was I sleeping on the floor in a place like this, rather than in a bed? No, I can't remember anything. Can I touch the darkness? There's nothing but walls here. I guess I've got walls on all four sides. I examine my clothes. There's some kind of small stick in my pocket. Is it a match? I try and identify it by touch. This is a match. I called it. I take the match out of my pocket. It's a little damp, but I think I can light it. It makes a scratching noise and lights. I see a candlestick right in front of me. I quickly light the candle with my match. Oh no, again. Theresia. Maybe this is supposed to tell us how to pronounce it, and it really is Theresia. Or Theresia. I think Theresia sounds better. Oh well. Put in the comments how you think it's supposed to be pronounced. The soft red glow of firelight illuminates the room. Something red is smeared on the wall. It looks like writing. That does in fact look like writing. It says, Theresia. Is that someone's name? I can't remember anything. There's more I can't remember. How do you know? I can't remember my face, my name, my age. I can't remember any of it. Did I lose my memory? At the very least, I know that I'm an adult male with pale skin. But that's it. For some reason, I feel very calm. This room has a small door. I can't accomplish anything here. I should leave this room. Oh, we actually left on our own? The hallway outside of the room leads off into darkness. The smell of decayed wood fills the air. This place seems like a very old mansion. I notice a piece of paper at my feet. Oh, here we go again. Map. This shows rooms on the floor and a record of where I've been. It's just a map. At least these rooms are like smaller and less maze-like. It looks like a map of something. Is it a map for this building? I put the paper in my pocket and start walking along the wall. I better find a diary entry. Walk deeper into the darkness. Every so often, I think I hear the tinkle of a small bell. When I hear the bell, I feel something wriggling. Is it the Theresia? Going back to our small room. This is the room I was sleeping in. I can't do anything else here. We can look around. I don't see anything. It's a candle. Theresia is written on the wall. I touch it. There's something written in red. Other than that, there isn't much here. Really. So that being said, we're going to save here because we're already 50 plus minutes in. But next time we will get to the proper meat of Dare Martell. So thank you so much for watching. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and I'll catch you next time. Bye!